Okay, today I'm going to talk about relationship replay example, an argument, but also a concept that is important, I guess, in to understand in relationships. But we call this individuation, and this is particularly important for the type of guy in this movie. It's another fight scene from Blue Valentine, but and it's kind of a more modern challenge. But this challenge I call it individuation, and so in this is in relationship psychology. They talk about this. They say that a codependent couple, it looks like love. So this is the codependent couple because one cares completely about the other. One is completely a servant to the other. So on the surface, at first, it looks like a healthy relationship. Maybe that's what they say they want, but they do say that there needs to be individuation, meaning they can't be identified solely by the relationship and through the other person. So there are two people giving and receiving to each other, as opposed to one or the other partner seeing themselves as the other partner, which I believe is what is happening in the Blue Mountain scene, or Blue Valentine scene. So this is one of the end fights, so it kind of built up to this climax. And again, studying fights, you get probably the clearest and most honest snapshot of what the real problems are, obviously, but also you see just where the central problem of that connection is. So I'm going to play that scene, and then we're going to break it down and show how the way he's kind of approaching things is just a little flawed.
Nothing. No, you're not. Is this how you wanted to grow up?
I don't want to grow up in a home where our parents treat each other like that.
I'm sorry. Baby, I'm sorry.
I can't do this anymore.
I know. Baby, I'm just fighting, fighting for my family. I don't know what to do. I don't know what else to do. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do.
I don't know what to do.
Tell me how I should be.
I don't know.
Just tell me. I'll do it. I'll do it.
I don't know what to say.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say. I'll do it. Tell me.
We're not good together. We're not good anymore. The way that we treat each other. I can't stop. You can't stop. I can't stop. I don't know what else to do. No. Oh, no.
And that body language, I would really pay attention to, that really whole scene, that exchange. But there's so much there, and so I just kind of break that down. And this is something that may be difficult for him to necessarily process what is exactly happening. He perceives this, from my perspective of his character, he's perceiving himself as doing everything right and caring, and from any outside perspective, and any probably woman would say, yeah, this is the kind of husband I would want. If you look at his everyday behavior, somebody who cares about it, he genuinely does care about her, and he may not understand what he's doing wrong, and she may not understand why there's not attraction there, why she feels unhappy, and she may think that she should feel happy with him, but she doesn't. And so there's a lot of confusion here, but this body language at the very end, notice he comes to her, and she's no, and he still just kind of clings on. And to me, this is and when you watch the whole movie, I think this is his probably fundamental error, his fundamental challenge. Is individuation. He sees himself as her, and it really it crosses the line between caring and clinging. So he just needs to pull back and just kind of orient himself what he wants. And so there is a give and take there, because right now this is just straight, what can I give to you? So here's another breakdown of, I'm just going to use different words to describe this contrast between clinging and connection, clinging and caring. So I need you versus I want you and love you. So those words just carry different, very subtle connotations. But if you're in need with somebody, there's not going to be any kind of attraction there. I'm your servant versus I'm in service to you. Okay. So again, this behavior from him, it's not the 1950s domineering hyper male type relationship, hyper masculine relationship between masculine and female. But it almost swung the pendulum too far. He's definitely, I'm your servant. I'm doing everything you want. What do you want? You notice he says, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to be? And she says, I don't know. She probably doesn't really know and maybe cannot explain, but she wants him to take care of himself and care about her and have that autonomy, as well as intimacy. So that's the subtle difference. I'm your servant versus I'm in service to you. So, and you would want your partner to be in service to you as well. So mutual service. Your needs are my needs. So that's the codependent situation. I love to give and receive from you. So again, subtle difference, but it is the difference between a non-individuated relationship and an individuated relationship. So, and it's the only way that you get real intimacy. I cling to you versus I care for you. That's pretty self-evident, I think. That's pretty self-explanatory. Finally, I would say, you are my life, maybe. Versus you are the light of my life. Yeah. So, to be inspired by somebody is different than to just be merged with them. The healthy version is just to allow that, accept whatever feeling and inspiration you get from the other person, and to be able to work with it and be inspired by that. So you have poets writing music and musicians writing music. That's the difference between being inspired by and being somebody else's life. So it's no longer really a relationship, it's an extension. He's basically an extension of her, and she's just kind of feels smothered by that. And at the end of the day, that's where she's at. She doesn't get honest feedback from him. Says, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? How do you want me to be? I'll be it. Basically, she wants him to understand what he wants, and also for him to be able to confront her without her feeling that he's going to collapse every time. Like, he won't point out when she's making mistakes. He'll just kind of bend to her every fleeting whim, and so she feels that instability in the relationship. If he's able to kind of let go, this is the kind of paradox here. He has to let go of her in order to really be intimate with her again. So, it's probably potential he could come back and they could have a healthy relationship, but he would have to let go first. That means, maybe he would need to see other women for a while, and then come back in order to really be in a healthy give and take relationship. Just to establish his own autonomy is kind of what she wants, but autonomy without loss of intimacy. So, and it's probably she cannot even explain that. But at the end of the day, that's kind of what's going on, I would say. But the relationship replay, the video is it's a good way to re-trigger whatever was going on in yourself. So if it's his situation, then the imagery can kind of get him back into that state and figure out what he was feeling. And so when he's in that state, then you can kind of coach him through it and say, this is where you're at. This is where, this is where you're kind of going wrong. And so that's basically how I would break down that dynamic. You kind of see the fundamental flaw in the fight, though. So, and recording that is a potentially powerful tool, but that's the psychology of the relationship replay, and that's the power of individuation. Thanks for listening.